When it comes to stock investing, one of the most powerful types of analysis that you can do is revenue segment analysis. With this, you can analyze the revenues of a company based on the different products and services that the company offers, or you can also see this in terms of the geographic revenue breakdown that a company has. In this video, I'm going to show you how to analyze and how to get revenue segment data in your Excel or Google Sheet spreadsheet. Okay, so before we get into what revenue segments are, the first step is to be able to get the revenue segment data. So I'm gonna show you a good way of doing this, and then I'm gonna show you the best way to get revenue segment data for companies. So what you are looking at here is the US SEC website. So here you can go ahead and type the name of a company or enter its ticker. So in this case, we're looking for Apple. We'll click here, and what's going to happen is that you're going to be taken to all the different filings that the company has made to the SEC. For those of you who don't know, the SEC is an organization that is in charge of receiving and checking the filings for public companies, and they have to submit these filings on a quarterly and annual basis so that the shareholders and the public can see what is going on with different aspects of the company. So there's two types of reports that you generally see on the SEC. There's the 10Q, and this is the quarterly report for the company, and then there's also the 10K. The 10K is the most popular one because that is for the whole year, so it gives you the financial results for the whole year. We're gonna select the 10K, but you can also do the same for the 10Q. If you click right here on filing, what's gonna happen is you're gonna be taken to this part of the website, and from here you will see different aspects of the filing. What really matters is to look at the interactive data right here. From here, you can access the direct 10K report right away, or you can access the financial statements from here as well. So here's the consolidated statement of operations, otherwise known as the income statement. You can also access the balance sheet here, and then there's a statement of cash flows right here. So this information, as you can imagine, is pretty helpful, but what we're looking for is the revenue segment data, which usually comes right here on the notes to financial statements. If you go on revenue, this is what we're talking about. So you look at revenue, and now we can see the summary of the revenue segment. So in this case, we have the revenue for the iPhone, for Mac, iPad, wearables, home accessories, services, etc. And you can see on a year-to-year basis what the revenues were for each particular segment or service of the business. Altogether, that provides you with the total sales or the total revenue of the company. And then from here, this is very interesting and helpful to analyze because you can use this information when you're creating some type of DCF or particular analysis for the company. The other type of revenue segment data that it's extremely helpful is to look at the segment information and geographic data. So this is found right here. And now the cool thing about this is that instead of showing you the revenues by segment of the business, now you can see the revenues by the different geographic regions in which the company operates. So in this case for Apple, we see the sales for the Americas, Europe, Greater China, Japan, etc. So based on different potential things that can happen to the company, you can also change your assumptions to reflect that. So let's say something's going on in China, you can adjust these numbers to reflect that in your analysis if you do some type of DCF. And you can also just look at the trends of the numbers over time to see how the company is growing in different geographic regions. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is that I'm going to show you the best way to get revenue segment data right on your Excel or Google Sheet spreadsheet. The method works exactly the same. And the way that we're gonna do this is to use Y-sheets, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna start analyzing some of this data. So the way that you could do this is you could set up a template like this. So in this case, we have the company, we enter the company ticker, we have the revenue segment type, which in this case, what we're looking for is the segment revenues. I'm going to show you how to get the geographic revenues as well. And then all you need to do is use the WISE function. So in order to use the WISE function, you can check out some of the tutorials that we have on our channel, or you can just look at this page right here. So we're gonna enter equals WISE, the symbol is here. The parameter for a whole list of the parameters, you can click here. In this case, we're looking for the segment revenues. the next thing that you will see right here on the function is periods. So periods basically means the type of data that you're looking to get. In this case, we're looking for annual data. And what I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna enter this curly bracket so I can enter multiple periods. And the periods are gonna be ly, ly minus 1, ly minus 2. So in this case, it'll be 3 periods. What ly means is the last fiscal year of available data. So that way we always have the latest data, but you can also enter multiple years as in 2022, 2021, 2020, etc. After that, close the bracket, press enter, and what's going to happen is that you're going to get the segment revenues for Apple in this particular format right on your Excel spreadsheet. Now that you have this structure set up, there's a whole bunch of cool things that you can do. One of them, which is one of my favorite, is to change the company ticker. So in this case, we're going to go from Apple to Microsoft. Of course, here now we have some other different segments that the company offers, but you can see how we can also get the data. We can also change this to be on a quarterly basis. So instead of ly, I could do lq minus 1, lq minus 2, etc. And the other thing, of course, that we could do is change the company ticker back to Apple, and we can also look at geographic revenues. So in this case, all you need to do is this, geographic revenues. Make sure you spell the parameters correctly. And there you go. Now we get the answer for Apple. So here we have China, other countries, United States. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the segment revenues. And what I want to do is show you different ways in which you can analyze the data that comes up. So one of the ways to do that is to calculate growth percentages. So we could create something like growth. And what we could do is very simply just calculate the percentage growth from one period to another. So the way you do that is you take the latest value minus the previous, and you divide this by the previous value. Now you can turn this into a percentage, and you can apply this to the other values as well. Obviously, because there's no previous before this is not going to be calculated, but this is a good thing to do. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categories. So we could drag this to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. And now we can apply the same to this. And in this matter, you can see right away if there's growth or a decline in the numbers. So in this case, it looks like the iPad revenue went down 8% from 2021 to 2022. That's interesting. But you can clearly see how this gives you an idea of the trend of the numbers really fast. The other thing that you could do, which is very valuable actually, is first plot this. So we're gonna take this data, we're gonna go insert, recommended charts, and we're gonna pick a pie chart. After this, I recommend that you look into which chart is better for your use case. I'm gonna pick this one, but there's different options. This one's pretty good too. Actually, what I'm gonna do is we're gonna select a 3D one just because I think this is cool. And now once you have a 3D one, you can also select this one, and there you go. So now one of the cool things that you could do is to analyze the data in proportion so that you can see what items or what segments make up the most of the revenue for a particular company. So clearly in this case for Apple, that is the iPhone, followed by the iPhone. Then we have wearables, home and accessories, service, and then wearables, home and accessories, and then we have Mac and iPad. The cool thing about this is that you can just simply drag this across and you will see how the data will change. So this is really cool, so you can see the change over time. What you can also do is obviously to take the sum of the revenues and then to do a percentage analysis to see how much of the total revenue Mac generates, service, and so on and so forth. Now the last thing that I want to show you, which is quite powerful, is to do this. So what you can do is just literally copy paste this down here, and now we're gonna copy paste this down here again, but as values only. So here in this case we were only copying the formatting, but now we're gonna look into the values. There we go. So now we have the exact same values as the top, but the cool thing that we could do is this. So let's say that we're looking to do some type of DCF. Rather than trying to predict the growth of the company in a general sense, what you could do to make your analysis potentially more accurate is to have predicted growth rates for each of the different categories of segments that the company offers. So let's say this is 2023, 2024, and we want to create some projections. What we could do is this. First, copy the formatting so that way we have everything in a similar way. There we go. And now what we could start to do is this. Let's say based on our research, we expect this to grow 5%. So we would do that. We could drag this down, and now we have this. And we could, of course, as you can imagine, do the same for the other categories, except maybe this one, we want 7%. So now we drag this here, and you get the idea. At the end, what you can also do, of course, is the total revenue. And the total revenue is very simple. You're just gonna take the sum of all the different predictions or projections that you're making, as well as the previous numbers. As a reminder, the types of analysis that we did on the revenue segments also apply to the geographic revenues. So creating the graphs, calculating growth rates, making projections, all that stuff works exactly the same. The only thing that matters, of course, is the categories. So rather than looking at individual product or service segments, now you're looking at different countries or whatnot. Now you know everything that you need to know about revenue segment breakdowns, so be sure to use this knowledge so that you can find valuable investment opportunities that are going to grow your portfolio over time. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications on so that way you get notified every time we release a new video like this that's going to allow you to take your investing game to the next level. I'll see you in the next one.